All right, so in this video, we're going to talk about all the different drugs that target hyperlipidemia in your body. So the first one is going to be a statin, right? Now, what is statin and what do statins do? So basically, what happens is that your liver has acetyl CoA that converts it into Hmg CoA. Remember, statins are also called Hmg CoA um, reductase inhibitor. Now, the word reductase should tell you that this is inhibiting an enzyme, right? ACE means enzyme. So, basically, in your body, the first class of hyperlipidemics is statins, and you have acetyl CoA converts into Hmg CoA. Hmg CoA is converted into malvonic acid. Now, you might be thinking, malvonic acid, what's the big point? Well, the big point is that Hmg CoA reductase is what converts the Hmg CoA to malvonic acid. So that's the reductase. That's where statins act as. And then basically, from malvonic acid, your body makes cholesterol and bile. So it blocks this whole pathway. Your liver has no way of making cholesterol. So your liver freaks out and it says, oh shoot, now I have to make more LDL receptors. So LDL receptor, remember, LDL is that is all the fat, the cholesterol that's going to your tissues, and it's very atherogenic, so it's very bad. So your liver brings out LDL from the blood, and it brings it in. So it increases the receptor, so LDL concentration decreases in the blood, and it basically goes to the liver. So that's statins. Those are the most popular one. Now, the second kind of anti-hyperlipidemics we're going to talk about is going to be called niacin, however you say it, niacin. Basically, when your body's starving of, you're in a fasted state, you have a lot of glucagon, and you need to release energy fast. Fasted state increases. I should put this in a different color, huh? Glucagon concentration present, right? So you pretty much, glucagon tells you that you're in the fasted state. So your body needs energy ASAP. So what it does is the adipose cell, which is in yellow, it has a lot of triacyl, it has a lot of fatty acid stores, tags, triacyl glycerides. They need to be converted into free fatty acids, so then they can go into the blood, they can go into the liver, free fatty acids, and then from there they can form triacylglycerides, and then VLDL, and then finally they can be released into the circulation. So hormone sensitive lipase is what converts, should put this in green, yeah. Hormone sensitive lipase is what converts tag to free fatty acids, and niacin blocks this step. Niacin blocks this step right here. So basically, as a result, you have a decrease LDL. You also have increased HDL. Remember, HDL is the good fat that goes from the tissues to the liver. This is the fat that goes from tissue to liver. So that's the result of niacin. Now the third one is called fibrates. So fibrates basically they are basically a transcription fiber ligand. So we know that lipoprotein lipase is what hydrolyzes the triglycerides, right? So basically the third class is called fibrates. And we know that when you have VLDLs, remember VLDLs are from diet, they're made from the liver. You have LDLs, and somehow these babies need to be converted into glycerol or free fatty acid. Remember, glycerol is the carbohydrate chain, and the free fatty acid is just a long chain of CHs. So lipoprotein lipase is what does that. Lipoprotein lipase is what does that. And Your fibrates, basically, they activate this lipoprotein lipase. They activate lipoprotein lipase. So as a result, you have decreased LDL, VLDL, and you have a increased HDL. Remember, this is a transcription factor ligand. Now we come to another type of anti-hyperlipidemic. So we're going to show you this diagram. It's going to show you the three different kinds. The first one is, or the next one that I'm going to talk about is, you know that anytime you eat food, it goes to your stomach. From the stomach, it goes to your intestine, and this is where you have the bile recycling, reabsorption, right? This is called enterohepatic. Hepatic is for liver, and entero is like the intestines. So it goes from the gut, like this special pathway. So if you block this pathway, your liver is no longer getting bile, so it has to increase the amount of LDL receptors to get it from the circulation. So these are called bile acid sequesterants. And they're basically ion exchange resins. Next, you have the other way is, that's one way to decrease absorption of bile. The other one is, remember that cholesterol has to be absorbed across the lumen through the intestinal cell, right? And you have a special protein here that does that job for you. It's called NPC11. And basically you have some drugs that inhibit that. So some drugs inhibit that. It's the intestinal cholesterol inhibitors. So again, your body is no longer getting is no longer getting chylomicrons. It's not longer getting those cholesterol from the diet. So your liver has to take whatever's already in the circulation and put that to work. Remember, this is only for dietary cholesterol. So it's only for dietary bile and cholesterol. It has no effect on triglycerides or other types of fats. Next, you have, so your body also has something called this bad boy right here that you see. This guy right here is something that your body makes on its own. It's called a PCSK9. And it basically binds and it cuts through the LDL receptors on the liver. And then you have a whole bunch of drugs that come and they attack that. So those drugs are antibodies. So they come and they attack this guy. And these are antibodies. They're called evolocumab and elicumab. Okay, so this should give you an overview of the different types of anti-hyperlipidemics. Remember, we talk about the statins that are Hmg CoA reductase. Their job is to make sure that your liver doesn't make its own bile and it's forced to get it through the circulation. You have niacin that releases free fatty acids from adipocytes when you're starving. So niacin decreases that. It keeps the fatty acids in the fat in the fat reserves of your body. You have fibrates that are basically a transcript ligand factor. They cut down the VLDL and LDL. Then you have some bile sequestrants that prevent the bile from going to the liver, so the same kind of an action as a statin, where statin is also preventing bile formation. You also have another way to inhibit dietary cholesterol and bile through decreasing the NPC11 proton. So you have this inhibitor that prevents the cholesterol from going through the cells from the lumen to your body. And then you have PCSK9 inhibitors. So these guys are PCSK9 inhibitors. PCSK9 inhibitors. And they prevent the PCSK9 to eat up the LDL receptors. So as a result, LDL receptors are staying longer on the liver. So this is the way to take care of the lipids, a high lipid problem in your body.